That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB, I don't know about you, but when I think about the new year, sometimes that bucket list starts getting a little long, whether it's going on vacation, maybe you need to do some house renovations, whatever it is. Centris Federal Credit Union can help you out with making those goals a reality with a home equity loan or line of credit. You can leverage your home's equity to get funds you need at lower interest rates than many other options. Go to centrisfcu.org for more information. DB.
Ravi.
We were having a conversation off air, as we often do, after our conversation with BC about the running backs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of funny, right? Because I hear a lot of people talking about the running backs. Mm-hmm. And I find myself in a very strange position. Because I've said over and over, the running back room is fine, right? I'm not super high on it. I'm not super low on it. I think it's fine. But I find myself kind of defending the running back room because I hear a lot of people like, oh, man, they need to get a running back from the portal. Got to get a running back from the portal. And I don't really – do they need to – I don't think they need to get a running back from the portal. I feel weird defending a position group that I keep – saying is just fine.
It's funny too, because like if I'm on the outside looking in, that. By the way, that's not bad self-awareness on your part.
Well, I appreciate that.
So props to you. We are actually baby steps. Because when I say it, it's like, oh man, DB's just defending the running backs. When you say it, it's Ravi just hates the running back room.
And neither one of us are saying that.
Neither one of those things are true.
No.
So what I think is interesting is you're actually even though you have a supposition, mm-hmm. and it wasn't overly positive, it wasn't overly negative either. It was just like, I'm not in love with the running back.
Yeah, but it is fine.
And I'm like, you say that now.
Yeah.
So what I like is that you've actually you started out with a supposition, mm-hmm. and you've taken the time to actually evaluate it along the way.
Yeah.
Like you weren't married to it.
No.
Right? So, and it's funny that now you're the one saying, oh, the running back room's okay.
Yeah, I don't feel like they need help.
But it's not because I beat you over the head with it because I'm this homer.
No.
It's the running back situations. That's why I was laughing talking with Jock Slap. I can.
That's his name.
That's
I don't know what to tell him.
We were joking about the running back situation in Pittsburgh with Harris and Warren because I said, people are upset with Tomlin because he said he's willing to have not as positive, productive run plays for the sake of running because there's something that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, it feels like it's important for what they're trying to accomplish.
From a toughness standpoint versus the potential to turn the ball over. Same way that I feel, and I asked this to Vers last night on Big Red Wrap-Up, the running backs look better the second half of the year.
Agreed.
They just do.
Agreed.
And we'll give a lot of credit to Hogerson, as we should, because of there's only a few pet run plays. And he's very good schematically understanding back-end coverage.
So go back for a second on the pet run plays, right? Why is that important? Because I think we talked about it, in season a
lot. But it was hard, right? I gave you the analogies between LP and I use high-end guys that were both very good at what they did, but were vastly different styles.
Amon needed a ton of reps.
Yeah,
to feel good.
He needed to the more times he got to see something, the better he was going to be. Mm-hmm. And he showed that could be at a very high end.
And that's reps of a specific type of play, right?
LP, conversely, didn't need to look at
more natural runner.
But also wouldn't be as good at doing the same thing over and over again because
he needs a little variety.
Right? So there's multiple ways to skin the cat and be effective. So the pet plays work, but I want to go back to something that Coach Hogerson said. I got a chance I'm fascinated by him. I told you, his son kind of got the party started.
Yeah.
Right? He broke the ice, super good dude, really smart football guy. Mm-hmm. And he understands life too. So I was like, all in. Right? I'm Team Logan. So, I'm spending time with Coach Hogerson. And he said something that I think is fascinating.
Okay.
We were talking about philosophy and like paid tabs in his notebook. Like I'm thinking, how important is it? Like if you're talking to me and you talk to me about life, there's this section in my life I can talk about. If you're talking to me about competitive sports, there's this section I can talk about. If you're talking to me about overcoming failure, there's this section that I can talk about. If you're talking to me about dealing with success, there's this section that I can just through life experiences, right? So he has a very similar thing, except just a little bit bigger case log with when it comes to football. So if he sees man to man or cover two or quarters, like there's these sections that he can go to that he likes. So we're talking about all these different things that have helped in this evolution. Well, I can actually write down the plays and I can speak the language and I can now talk to guys where I can use shorthand and it doesn't take as many words and people know we're on the same page. So it's just naturally going to get better.
Right.
He goes, I don't know how good that's going to be, but it's going to be better than what you saw last week. And last week is going to be better than what you saw
the week before.
The week before.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he's told no lies. But he said something that was so important that we did not lend any credence to.
What's that?
So I'm asking him about basically coaches and philosophy. And he stopped me, and we're sitting there, and he says, he goes, I need you to understand something. One of the things that I love about our staff right now is not only their work ethic, but how well they work together. He said, you have got to watch Coach Raiola and Coach Satterfield work together. He said, I've done this a long time. They have what I would call DB. He went DB, so it was disarming. A level of understanding on how to work well with each other. There's a reason that the tight ends in our offense are flourishing with the offensive line play, given how I want to run the football and how they're utilizing the passing game. Say that again. They work so well together and are on the same page. There's a reason that our tight ends are flourishing in the run game and in the passing game. Nobody would ever know that or think about that unless we said it, unless he told us that. We just assume, this is what we say as a fan base.
I can't believe they would pay Satterfield $1.2 million to coach tight ends. That is not a $1.2 million a job.
I'd be like, well, whether they adjust the salary or not, like why do we care?
What difference does it make?
We need to go get such and such and such and such in the portal because if Raiola wants to be.
We say all these things, but what we don't realize is actually what's happening right before our very eyes. Like we didn't even. It was just the bowl game, right? We didn't even really acknowledge how the game plan kind of unfolded. I'm not even going to say changed because I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what the exact game plan was. I'm just watching it.
It felt like it changed, but
right?
Yeah.
Became a big kid game.
Yeah.
Right? We went from outside the numbers, getting vertical, winning one-on-ones
was the first play
against
of the
a
game.
true man. And they did it a couple of times.
Early.
Even his first pick was like vertical outside the numbers. They took the vertical shot to Lloyd outside the numbers.
And then as they understood what the conditions were.
And the footing, it was like, oh.
We got to do something else.
Let's do this. He manipulated the run game by formation.
Yeah.
And motion.
Which, by the way, is a thing I love. That's one of my favorite things.
I used to watch people do it too. So there are a couple of really good offensive minds.
That's part of the reason I like Shanahan so much, by the way.
And there were two people that I watch at peak Millard North. If you wanted to move the ball running, you had to do some things because you knew you were going to get some zero coverage and you were going to get some man-to-man.
Yeah.
So I watched these coaches kind of study how to attack Millard North. And they didn't beat them over the top because they were playing man-to-man. They manipulated them in the run game. So I developed kind of this affinity for we think coverage just matters in passing game.
That's why I'm obsessed with Gus Malzahn, by the way.
So, which is why I was patient with Coach Butler, Coach White, Coach Dvorak, and Coach Knighton at the time about the defense having to come along because I kept saying, listen, guys, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. To marry coverages
Yeah.
with the defensive line.
It's all Coach Quinn and I talk about.
It's the thing.
Listen, when it's not whether to play, 2-man or chopper or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, hey, if we want to do this, how are we going to fit in the run game in this odd front?
What was one of our biggest complaints about the defense this year? Gifford and Singleton fitting in the run game, right?
Yeah.
That has as much to do with coverage as anything else, right?
100%.
Right?
So when I'm listening to Coach Hogerson talk about the recognition of being on the same page and being able to speak shorthand, you don't get the evolution of Lindemeyer and Boerkircher and
Emmett Johnson
and Rahmir Johnson and how Dowdell looked better down the stretch and Fidone's resurrection after a seemingly interesting 2-week period without all those guys being on the same page. And we're super indifferent about it. But it's because we have all these preconceived notions. Well, this guy isn't this and this guy. Watch them work together as they're getting better. Like, these guys are only going to get better the longer they work together. And you watch, there's a reason I've started seeing it better the last third of the season.
Yep.
It's not because all of a sudden he got better. He did a little bit.
Right.
But everything matters. That running back room is going to be just fine.
And that is how you can feel just okay about a running back room and feel just fine about the running back room.
With you.